Alright, Chapter 7, General Machine Shop. The machinery method of the general. Describe the many profit the various parts of the engine undergo with the general machine shop that would be tasked with the far beyond with the possibility of this book. The shop will provide with the layout, with the planning, shaping, the sliding of the machine, such as to be found with a large engineering shop. In addition, there are many special modern tools, such as the automatic layout, the information for the make stave with the pin start and the grinding machinery above the all milling machines. Form of the machine which was performed in the first mention of the machine tool of the standard pattern, then passed down to the fitters, the finish of the filling, scrapping of the other wells well known to the fitters and method nowadays the work is done and completed as far as possible the milling and grinding machine so that little fitting is possibly required, many of the parts going directly from the machine to the correction shop to put together the engine. The former process of the planning and shaping of the slide with now larger replace the milling of the milling machine. The works in milled machine revolving vertical or horizontal serrated cutters produce the fine finished smooth surface of the cutters can be shaped in two or three to them to put together to mill out the irregular curves or grooves and grooves to the vast amount of the labor the formally required for the hitters, fly bars, and piston rods. Many of them are parts of the ground to the side of the grinding machine means the emery corrodium wheels are revolving at high speed, but the work is done at a limited gauge and can be finished within 5/10,000ths of an inch required. When a large quantity with a smaller piece of the automated by the machine, the jig of the fixture of these each attachments are both of the machine made with the suit with a particular piece of the machine with the batter with the skirt with the or bait jig, which is located with the position in such a way that the machine is done accurately without the preliminary marking of the hole with the contour with the only one of the two engine for the same class of the air being built. It does not pay for the made expensive jig and fixture of the older methods of marking off the machinery and employ with the object with the modern improvement to reduce the cost of the work and at the same time improve the accuracy of the quality. Pistons and piston rod with the pistons and usually cast iron with the normally frequently made with the stamp steel with which is advantage to enable the lighter position piston to be used without allowing the greater strength of the material. The latest for the practice of the machine the piston with a heavy turret layout in which the number of the tools are fixed in the revolving turret which one of the operation has completed is turned through the angle to present another tool for the piston for the next operation for the piston. First, the tool remains the correct adjustment for the use of the next position due to the course of the holes of the piston. For the piston rod is bored with the largest twist drill in the next tool. Figure 36 shows the cast iron cylinder piston rings. The 37 shows the tools of the turret for the machinery machine piston rings. Face of the piston, one side with the third turn with the third tool turns to the outside with the peripheral with the fourth operation for the cause of the tube groove the peripheral in the two which the piston ring fit. These rings are two in the number of the cast iron are generally about 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch broad and 3/8 of an inch to 1 1/2 inch deep. The outside of the diameter of the ring of the turn with the 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch larger. The bore with the cylinder piece of the end cut out with the saw with the parting with the tool with the enable the two ends of the press together with the ring so that the ring can be sprung into the center cylinder within the place of the springs back with the pressure against the cylinder wall causes the piston to be steam tight. This method of making the rings of the cast of the cylinder with the form shown figure 36 of the lugs at the bottom which can be bolted with the horizontal table the turning and boring mill with the machine is provided with the turret head with the width of the 4 tools with the 4 operation. The tool number 1 face the top of the casing and casting with the fold with the number 2 with the 2 cutting with the tools employed with the rough bore of the inside of the rough turning outside of 1 operation. Number 3 is similar tool with the finishing of the boring of the tool with the depth of 5 and 6 inches of the casting now ready to cut off into the rings. This is done means a special holder number 4 with the containing the 6-part tool with the result of the rings. The top of the tool stands out beyond the next one below it and so on. Each tool enters for the casting a little bit before the tool below it. Each of the ring is cut out before the one of the below it. For the course, it's impossible to cut off all the rings simultaneously. The piston rod either screwed into the piston and having plain canoned, and they are secured in the piston large enough that the secured front side of the rods can turn nearly the same size of the layout and finish at the exact diameter of the grinding machine. And the machine, an emery wheel W resolved the surface with the speed of about 6,000 feet per minute, with the rod with the R resolved with the direction of revolution being shown by the arrows. Finally, either the rod or the wheel must have the longitudinal motions where the wheel can grind the whole length of the rod, the direction of the motion, the reverse at each end of the transverse. A is the clamp holding the rod in proper position. Figure 38 shows the grinding piston rod against the wheel with the bed of the machine not shown somewhat similar to the layout. The crosshead and the slide bars. Crossheads with the from form of the attachment of the piston rod with the connection rod with the main different form of the various methods of machining of the U-bits according to their shape of their plan with the between the jaw with embracing the connecting the rod 4 or 5 being fixed in inverted position planning the machine for the purpose of the turning and the boring involved with several operations which may be done in turn laid with several of the tools in which the turn does not work with some of the shop of the work is done with the horizontal turning of the boring machine. Boring mill figure 39 shows the crosshead of the 2 sidebars with the form in which the complicated will be seen with the piston rod end with the fitting of the to the taper the hole A and with the connecting rod with the shown figure fits between the jaws B with the skirt with the dent into the pin which passes through the hole C with the slide blocks D with the shown with the chain dotted lines separated with the piece of the channel placed into fit over the slide bars. Figure 39 shows the crosshead and slide blocks. Slide bars are then plain rectangular bars sealed with a push plane with the friction of the finish side with the end face with the holes drilled with the bolts with the connect with the cylinder at one end with the motion plate with the other faces on which the side blocks were and formerly jaw filled with the true surface of the surface plate with involved with a much more fitted part works and now the bars are plated with the reciprocating table of the grinding machine surfaces are grounded. Truly by Emery with the accordion, the wheel with the beyond with the root with the sharpened to the no fitted work with the required with the bars go straight with the directing shop with the type of the grinding machine. You with the quite different with the employed with the grinding piston, the rod with the maybe linked in the planing of the planing machine with the cutting tool with the blade for the brace of wheels. Connecting and coupling rods. The machine and connecting with the coupling rods, the cave with which the large machines would have been replaced with the planing machine. The rods is not fluid, but a tube with the form an AI section or a hole for the surface of the edge of the mill with the figure 40 show for the surface of the two rods being milled with the large machine in an ordinary type of the connection rod with the brasses must be bitted down and fitted into the shaft fitted into the rods, etc., so that no shake of the rod works as it were in the solid piece. The rod must be straight with the hole through the brasses in which the crank of the crosshead pin works. Must be at right angle to axis for the rod. The axis both holes parallel to each other. Such work has to be very done with the fitter with the putting of the various places of the rod together before sending them to the direction shop. Coupling rods of the country in this country are not fitted with adjustable brasses like connection rods, but have plain circular bushes lined with the white with the metal on the Great Western Railway. The connection rod big ends that are made with the cylinder brush with which are much simpler and stay with the wears long a period. Figure 40 connecting rod milling machine. Alright, link motion. The link motion consists of a large number of the parts of the machine with the fitting of the side for the face of the curve with the quadrant link for the plane with the middle with the proper thickness of the being of the machine. This is one time with the template and then laid on them each of the mark allow for the proper finish of the curved shape of the hole of the drill through the jigs. Which to locate the accurate link of the are slotted out with the lines marked with the template of the blocks of which with the work of the quadrant link are slotted with the milled shape of the lever that are connected with the various parts of the link motion are milled on the face with the contour of the side. All works with these kinds produced with a better manner in less than time of the milling machines and then slotting, planing, and all the holes of the pins and fitting with their board and turned into limit gauges of these fitters. Then some fit all the parts together, testing and leveling them so that everything is perfectly square and all the necessary oil grooves are cut in plain blocks and pinholes. Our case hardening. The parts of the link motion are then taken apart with the case hardening in the shop of the department, which has not been so far mentioned. But the case hardening is carbonizing the process produced the hard steel surface with the parts without would be subject to the undue wear. All link motion parts and pins, also slide bars, undergo the process. The parts are placed in a case with the backs around with a piece of the charcoal, leather, bones, or any are carefully sealed up. The cases are then heated into the furnace for the 12 to 18 hours after these parts are removed in cold and water. Case hardening has been described in somewhat brutal process thoroughly. Nothing better than has been found, and so the disadvantage for these parts are treated as somewhat of the type in this process that they are there before returning to the fitter of the machine. The shop of the corrected with the case hardening surfaces are so hard that they cannot be touched with a file. Hence, the holes are ground out with limited gauges. Very small emery wheels, and alternatively they are lapped with revolving spindles made of lead and covered with emery powder with oil. Due to the allowance of warping is made in the previous machine, fitting very slightly amount of extra material being left with the final grinding the finished side after the ease hardening. Figure 8, erection shop.